and meeting with both of them. It's sit down with both of them. All right, Sean's looking at me. He's chairing the meeting. All right, thank you.
Yes. Off of the agenda, go ahead. There was a request by the applicant. Cold. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is cold. Jimmy's mic okay?
Her heart rate went down to 40, and they can't get it back up, so they put her in the hospital. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This time we're going to call to order the City of Gallatin Council meeting. First thing is Ms. Kitcher, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Here.
Councilman Alexander,
Here.
Councilman Fan,
Here.
Councilwoman George,
Here.
Councilman Hayes, Councilwoman Love,
Here.
and Councilman Overton is absent, but we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchell. Next, we have approval of the minutes for March 22nd, 2022.
Motion to approve.
We got a motion from Councilwoman George, a second by Councilwoman Linda Love. Any questions, any changes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Next, we're going to come down to public recognition. I'd like to say something, I wasn't here last Tuesday night, but I did watch the meeting, and it was disgraceful, and there was a lot of disruptive behavior, and I seen what the mayor had to go through to get the meeting in order, and I'll do the same thing. We need to be kind to one another, no disruptive behavior, calling people out, insinuating such things. I'll gavel you down, I'll correct you. Second time, I'll ask the police to escort you out of the building. With that being said, I think the mayor would like to make a comment.
I didn't know you were going to say that. I do, before I say what I was going to say, I do think that you were going to vote on the deferrals that were requested before we did public comment. Do you want to do that?
Yes, ma'am. Items 4, 5, and 6 at the request of the applicant have been deferred. So if you're in the audience and you're wanting to speak or comment on this right here, there might be another time in the horizon, but tonight we're not going to get into that. One thing we need to do on the top of the agenda is vote to remove that from the agenda, items 4, 5, and 6. Do we need to go ahead and do that right now?
I think it's items 4 through 7.
It's 7, 4, 5, and 7.
Items 4 through
so
7, and I think it would be proper form for this council to vote to defer those items. Now, I would certainly say anyone that's here that feels, that showed up to speak for that, certainly you are welcome to. But just so you're clear, it will not be discussed this evening.
Okay, items 4, 5, 6, and 7. Do I have a motion to defer?
I'll move that we defer those.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilwoman Love. We got a second by Councilman John D. Alexander. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right, now we move down to public recognition. When you come to the mic, please state your name and your address, and you're allowed 5 minutes to speak. And if you're going to speak, it's going to be items that are pertaining to the agenda. The agenda.
Work session,
Oh, I'm sorry. City
anything.
business. So come on, if you want to speak.
But I did
Come on
want to
up.
comment, follow up on what you said, just as a point of privilege, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I was very disheartened, very sad and dismayed by what happened last week. I felt like it was a poor reflection of our city. I feel like we have a long history of respectful dialogue here. Gallatin has one of the most permissive policies there is for allowing people to speak, and I'm proud of that. And I think that this council, we always try to be respectful, and we have had so many people who have addressed this council and been respectful. And I know that that culture doesn't exist everywhere in this country, but I think here in Gallatin, it's very, very important that we maintain a culture of civility. And what you said about being kind, I appreciate, because I think at the end of the day, you can never go wrong with extending grace or being kind. So know that we're up here trying to do jobs that aren't always fun, aren't always easy. I know a lot of people think that, the growth just jazzes us all, but no, it really just stresses us all. And we're doing the best that we can, and we understand that citizens are affected and impacted, and we want the best for everybody, but things conflict. So extend grace, be kind, and let's all work together for the best community that we can have. With that, nothing further.
All right, now we're open for public
Mayor.
recognition.
Good evening, City Council members. Good evening, Mayor. You have a packet in front
Ma'am,
of you.
would you state your name
I'm
and
sorry,
address?
thank
You're
you, yes.
okay.
Linda Ing, property owner 225 Nichols Lane. You have a packet in front of you with some pictures, because a picture does 1,000 words. And the topic I would like to speak on tonight is Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard, specifically the proposed extension of Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard through the Kirkpatrick Farm and then connecting on down south to somewhere along Peach Valley Road. We have formed a concerned citizens group called the Nichols Superblock. And this is a really wide territory: Nichols Lane to the north, Peach Valley to the south, Woods Ferry to the east, and Lock 4 to the west. And then within that superblock, Nichols Circle, Brewer Drive, Connie Drive, and another small street as well called Anna. So I'd like to speak to you this evening about the proposed extension of Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard. If you'd like to follow along with me, you're welcome to. Page 2 and 3 in your packet shows a map of the superblock, and you can see the proposed developments on page 2 in yellow, and the proposed in orange, actually. Woods Ferry Crossing is in yellow, and then Nichols Place in green to the north. And then the two farms to the west and to the east of Nichols Circle that are both up for sale simultaneously. And so we're talking estimated, I think, 135 acres for the Kirkpatrick Farm, and a lot more than that. I don't have the specific number, but a lot more than that for the Green Farm to the west of Nichols Circle. So this is an enormous territory with enormous potential for development and density, and I'm sure you can understand the residents are rightly very concerned about what's going to happen within this area, especially since it's all coming up for sale at the same time. On page 3 of your packet, you can see the proposed roads. These were drawn up by the County Commission in 2008 and 2009, and then they were resurfaced in the 2020 planning document. And so they are more than lines on a map. They have not been built yet, but the City Council minutes show that they're going to be built in segments by whatever developers develop the land along the way. So if you look at the map at the top of page 3, you can see how the long road that goes from the north, Nichols Lane, down to the south of Peach Valley, is slated to go through the middle of a forest and also over the top of what are wetlands and streams recently identified by TDEC. And I have those diagrams for you as well. If you'll turn to page 4 and 5 in your packet, the residents of Nichols Circle are especially concerned because the placement of Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard extension could dramatically impact the quality of life on Nichols Circle. And keep in mind, we have not heard whether this is supposed to be a 2-lane road, 3-lane road, highway, who knows what's planned for this road, but we really don't want that in our backyard, as I'm sure you can imagine. Also, there's been a proposed linkage on the west to Brewer Drive. And we have spoken with the city planner and said vehemently that we do not want Nichols Circle and Brewer Drive to be connected to some brand new and immense development, because that makes Nichols Circle, which is currently landlocked, has one in, one out, makes it a through street, We're not gonna have pedestrians walking that anymore. We're gonna have 50-mile-an-hour traffic with people cutting through. So obviously, we don't want that connection to happen. Looking at page 5 in your packet, you can see the wetlands impacted. I've marked those for you. And then go on to page 6 and 7. At the top of 6 is the TDEC report done on the green property with all of the wetlands marked and the streams marked. Now, this is the green property, as I mentioned. The Kirkpatrick property to the east of Nickel Circle has not had a TDEC report performed. But we can all tell you that within that forest is a vast stream system and that it all empties directly into the Cumberland. So this is a very special area for wildlife and for habitats. Following that, you have pictures taken from the TDEC report by the scientists that investigated the land of the green farm. Beautiful streams, right? Lots of water. It is not a dry stream bed, as the city planner's office previously believed. They found benthic organisms, which are higher life forms of crustaceans, salamanders. Saw a salamander this morning in the backyard. So this is a very special area. It is a wetland, and we want to see it revitalized and protected. I hope that you will take the time to review this packet, and we hope to see the creation of a committee in Gallatin that will be charged with protecting the resources beyond the beautification committee, which picks up litter. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Good timing.
Thank you, this is a good pamphlet.
Okay, next.
Evening, my name is Mary Janung. I live on Lock 4 Road, 1100. I live directly across from the Green Farm. I've lived there 32 years. I'm very concerned about the possible development, and I understand that anyone can sell their land. I'm not saying you can't sell your land. But we do have a beautiful area out there with the green, like she said, Linda said, with the wetlands. We have lots and lots of wildlife, foxes, deer, anything, all kinds of animal life. And we also have an issue out there with our road. Lock 4 Road can't handle any more congestion. It's dangerous. But my segue is that I'm very concerned about the environmental impact that's happening to our community, to Gallatin. And the Green Farm is going to impact me as a resident and my other neighbors in a very detrimental way. I hope that you'll take and consider what Ms. Linda has presented to you. She's done a great job of researching and looking at all the factors that are out there. She is one of the, I would call someone of a expert, because she has spent a great deal of time trying to work through this and help us. And our block, which is Lock 4, Peach Valley, Woods Ferry, and Nichols Court, we all are going to come together and come back to you and talk with you again about it, because we do feel that we need to preserve the beautiful area out there in a way that it's going to work for everybody. In my dream, it would be that the city would buy the land and put a beautiful park out there, just like they did at the end of the road. But I know that's expensive. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you. Appreciate it.
Mayor, do we have an idea when anything will be on the agenda concerning this area? So there's nothing on the agenda tonight
I don't.
pertaining to Lock 4.
You might ask Mr. McCord if anything's come to planning. I don't know.
Bill, can you answer that right there so some of these people?
We've had meetings with some potential developers of the Green Farm, and as I understand, there is also a pre-application meeting that will be scheduled. I'm not sure if it's the first or second pre-app meetings that we hold in May on the Kirkpatrick piece, which is the eastern portion of that area. So, it's possible something could come in.
Still a little premature.
Summer or something, I don't know, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Anyone else in the audience like to, come on, preacher.
Bishop A. Michael Clark, 923 Southwestland Avenue here in Gallatin. This Friday, July the 15th, we will be hosting the 7 Last Words. I am a pastor of Flames of Fire Institutional and a jurisdictional bishop in the Church of God in Christ. Are you speaking to me? Yes. That's a no-no.
This Friday, April 15th?
It's July 5th. Yeah, April 15th. Yeah. I'm thinking about summertime.
I can tell.
All right, all right. And we'll be having 7 different preachers that'll be preaching about the 7 sayings that Jesus Christ declared on the cross. Our own Councilman John D. Alexander will be with us, and I've been supportive of you, and I would appreciate if you come by and see us. We'll be at the venue, which is 1023 Suite B, Southwater Avenue, starting at 6 p.m. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to address the council? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Mimi, would you like to say something? Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Fennell. My name's Michelle Juvance, and I live at 1335 Long Hollow Pike. And just listening to Ms. Ng and Mrs. Jinung about these 2 farms. I've heard that they are not in the city, that they would need to be annexed into the city if they were going to be developed. So I'm not sure if they're not in the city. But this is very concerning to me, especially, I mean, you'll remember what I said to you all last week about how it's too much too fast. And there's 2 annexations that were deferred tonight that are out Hartsville Pike. And then this is, the words that Ms. Ng used were like a massive development. And that is concerning, because if we're going to keep annexing more and more, it's like we're just on fast forward with our development. And right now we need to hit the pause button instead, because you know how short-staffed we are with so many of our departments. And we need to hit the pause button. And I asked you to do a moratorium on annexations until we can get caught up. And I think that would be a good thing to do right now, because it's just not the right time to keep annexing more land into the city when we're already behind on a lot of services. So that was it. I said I'd be quick. Thanks.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Linda Marandino. I'm at 1092 Lock 4 Road. One more concern regarding the farm and the sale and the building. Last summer, when 109 was being worked on, and everybody was stuck in traffic, and they kept cutting down Lock 4 Road, we had trucks flying down that road. And when I think about being across the road and having retail and more housing, we're kind of landlocked. There was a car accident one time, and you can't get in or out on that road. There's no way. It's just that and the farm, and there's no way in and out. To add this traffic, I mean, we get stuck on Nichols at the stop sign every afternoon. It starts building up. And I just don't think the infrastructure is there to just add this kind of stuff, besides for the fact that I think we have a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and they fly by my house at between 40. I sit out there and watch them fly by at 45 to 50 miles an hour. And one of my neighbors, she said she's almost been hit numerous times trying to come out of her driveway, and they're just using it like a highway. And I just don't think it can take any more traffic. And it's just dangerous at this point. And nobody follows the speed limits, and it's crazy. To add more to it, it's just going to be dangerous for anybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think we've seen another light Sir, she's been up twice, I'm sorry, we'll get you after her.
My name is Vicki Hendrick, and I live on the Butler Farm, and it is on Lot 4 and Peach Valley Road. We have 60 acres, and it's full of deer, turkey, red fox, you name it, it's out there. The last meeting we had, somebody made a remark about we can't worry about the fluffy bunnies, but the deer, they cross the road whenever they get scared. When you start building and you start blowing all this rock up in Sumner County, the first thing that's gonna happen is those deers are gonna run, and they're gonna run out in front of people, and people are gonna be wrecking cars. Back in 2007, most of y'all remember the tornado that came through that hit Ball State and come across Nichols Lane and Lot 4.
2006.
2006, okay. And my husband was standing in the back of Kroger watching that. And he came home trying to check on me and our son, and he wasn't able to get that. Thank God he was on his motorcycle, and he was able to go around trees to get to the house. And bless his heart, he went back with a chainsaw to saw that up so people could get to their homes because there were trees down at Nichols Lane. You just couldn't get around. So the lady that spoke before said that people fly down through there. Yes, they do. And whenever there's any kind of construction going on out 109, they come through my road, which is Peach Valley Road, and they fly. And when you call the police and tell them that there's somebody flying down the road, they usually say, what's your name, what's your address, what's your telephone number, and they're gone, in the fast cars. So I have a lot of older neighbors out there that are not able to get out and walk anymore. I used to walk when my child was little up Lot 4 Road when we lived in the old farmhouse there on the corner of Lot 4. And I never worried about walking with him when he was in a stroller. I wouldn't walk with a child out there right now. So it really concerns me just because of the wildlife and the roads are small. I don't know how you're going to widen them. And a couple of years ago, y'all had a festival out at the end of Lot 4 Road. What was the name of that?
Fire on the water.
Huh?
Fire on the water.
Yeah. It was terrible coming down Lot 4 Road that day. And I think most people remember that. But anyway, we have the restaurant right across the street that, you have fireworks and stuff. So that disturbs animals too. But, I guess that's just our concern out there. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
My name is Ardra Sarius. I live at 490 Peach Valley Road. Just to reverberate some of the comments that's been made, my concern is public safety for Lot 4 Road and Peach Valley Road. Peach Valley Road is becoming a cut-through to get to 109. And there are absolutely no shoulders on Peach Valley Road. Now, if the council allows a high-density project to be built in the area that we're talking about, that just simply dumps more traffic into Peach Valley Road. If you remember, well, maybe Ms. Alexander can remember a few years ago, there was an accident on Peach Valley Road where a car actually left the road and went into the side of Peach Valley Church. It was nowhere for it to go. So if we produce these developments without the infrastructure to support them, I just think it would be unwise for Gallatin. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would there be, go ahead, sir.
In the research of the potential projects that's coming up on the Green Farm, there's a slave cemetery. I don't know if anybody was aware of this, but there's a slave cemetery just where Peach Valley Road goes down the hill where the water is, down in the woods to the left. That development would literally wipe that out and the streams that, flow through that area. I would like to see the city, do something.
I'm sure you wrote that down, didn't you? Okay. We got it noted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? You don't have to raise your hand. Come on up.
My name is Lenora Wallace. I live at 1761 Woods Ferry Road. In the afternoon, I sit in my living room or on my front porch, and when there's an accident on 109, they either come up Pumping Station, cut down through Peach Valley. I have semi-trucks, delivery trucks all day long. And that's why our road gets so damaged through there, and they don't know what 30 miles an hour is. It's like an Indy 500 going down through there. And I go to the mailbox every afternoon to get my mail, and I see cars coming off the hill, and there's been a couple times that I've just about had to jump in the ditch. So I just want to let you know, this is not Indy 500 at Woods Ferry Road. I'm going to start sitting out there and get license plates. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would there be anybody else? Seeing none, public recognition is closed. Next, we got mayor's comments.
I have just a few events I want to share with you all. This Saturday, well, first of all, this Friday, of course, is Good Friday, a reminder that Main Street will be closed for a while for the Living Calvary that First United Methodist Church is doing. On Saturday Saturday and Sunday, the Master Gardeners are having their plant sale. It says both Saturday and Sunday, 9:30 to 5:30. I'm surprised they're having it on, maybe it's the 15th is Friday. It's Friday and Saturday, not Saturday and Sunday, which has the days wrong, but the date's right. So it'd be Friday and Saturday. Also on Saturday, the Gallatin Farmers Market is having their spring plant sale. That's from 9 to noon. On the 21st, this is a great opportunity for young people in our community. It's the Sumner County Youth Job and Opportunity Fair. Happens at the American Job Center. It's for young people and, school age teenagers, but also young adults who are looking for seasonal employment. That's happening from 3 till 6. That's at the American Job Center, which is located on Greenlee. I also want you to know that Welch College is presenting Tuck Everlasting. They're doing that on the 21st and the 22nd. I'm sure that will be a fabulous production by our local college. On the 22nd, another Good Morning Gallatin, formerly known as the Government Relations Meeting, presented by the Gallatin Chamber. This month, it's going to be Dr. Dale Phillips with the Sumner County School System, happening at the Hampton Inn, 7:30 to 9, again on the 22nd. And then on the 22nd and 23rd is the Market in the Park at Triple Creek Park. And then the final mention I will offer is on the 23rd is the Drug Take Back Day, and it is across Sumner County. So if you have medications that you are finished using, you can dispose of those responsibly, and that is the day to do that, although there are some pharmacies around town that collect your unused drugs every day. So just make others aware of that. That would be all.
Thank you, Mayor. Now we're moving on to our agenda. First on the agenda is resolution number R2204-38. This is reappointing Richie Harville as board member of the Gallatin Economic Development Agency Board, and to represent that is James Fenton.
Thank you. Yes, we're simply reappointing Mr. Ritchie, who's been on there for 4 years, to another 4-year term.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We got a motion to approve by Councilman Hayes. We have a second by, I think it was Steve Fan.
No, I think it was over here.
Okay.
And
I'll second if you
Councilman
need me
Alexander,
to, though.
too.
Okay. Second by
We're
John D.
enthusiastic.
Alexander. These little blinders right here, it's hard to tell where it come from. Do we have any discussion, guys? Seeing none, let's call the vote. Motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
There you go. Any opposed? All right, now we're going to go to number 2. This is resolution number R2204-37, temporarily adjusting certain rates of pay. Our department head, Ms. Flood.
Good evening, everyone. In October, a resolution for temporary adjustments to certain rates of pay was approved by council. 2 positions were not included for the utilities department. These positions are of equal positions included in the original resolution, and I'm seeking to move the equal positions forward with your blessing.
Motion to approve.
We got a motion by Councilman Hayes. We got a second by Councilwoman George. Do we have any discussion? Mayor, nobody saying anything? Let's call the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go, Ms. Flood. Let's go on to number 3 is resolution number R2204-43. This is amending Gallatin personal rules and regulations relating to sick leave pool. Ms. Flood.
HR needs clarification. We've had various questions on the interpretation of the policy. It's too vague, in our opinion. Historically, the policy has been used for employees only. I'm seeking approval to define the sick pool leave is only for the use of employees' personal illness, sickness, injury, or other medical condition.
We have to do a motion on that?
Yeah, you will move it forward because you're voting to change the personnel rules. It's simply to clarify. Right now, what she's talking about, some of the confusion it creates, sometimes people think that the sick leave pool works like family medical leave and that you can use your sick time. You can use your sick time and you can certainly use FMLA, but you cannot use the sick pool time for illness of a family member or to care for a family member. You can only use it for yourself if you're a member. And so that's what she's seeking to clarify.
Motion to send it on.
We got a motion by Councilman Hayes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Councilwoman George. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, we're moving all the way down to item number 8. This is a presentation and discussion of an annexation study of .70 mile portion of Big Station Camp Boulevard, totaling 13.6 plus or minus acres, locates south of Vietnam Veterans Parkway and south of the intersection of Big Station Camp Boulevard and Lakeland Drive. Bill McCord.
Hey. Bill McCord, City Planner. This next item is our presentation on the annexation study. We've had a couple other presentations at the committee meeting, and also we will have a reading of the resolution and plan of service at our next council meeting. But I think y'all are quite familiar with this. This is a request to annex the right-of-way of Big Station Camp Boulevard, the notorious right-of-way until recently, that in a nutshell was previously in the city, mostly in the city of Hendersonville, and Hendersonville changed their urban growth boundary, de-annexed it, changed their urban growth boundary, and now the city has it in its urban growth boundary, and the roadway was paved not too long ago, so it's in good shape, and so now it would be an opportunity for the city to annex the roadway. That way the city will be able to control how well maintained it is, as well as issuing permits for driveways to and from this roadway, which we expect will be quite limited to what's been approved primarily in the city. The properties on the west side of the road are in the city of Hendersonville and/or unincorporated Sumner County, and the properties on the east side of the road, with the exception of Station Camp subdivision and one parcel adjacent to it, are in the city. The report generally just identifies the cost, projected cost of maintaining the right-of-way if the city does annex it. Of course, since it is just right-of-way, there is no tax revenue that the city will derive from having it in the city, but we will have control over the roadway as far as how we maintain it, of course. So it'd be about, projected about $67,000 per year, and a variety of costs associated with having this road in the city, including long-term maintenance. Even though they just paved it, most of that cost will not, that was spread out over 10 years, probably won't have nearly that cost for some time. But mowing the right-of-way, picking up litter in the right-of-way, various vehicle costs to maintain vehicles that will be servicing the right-of-way and so forth, and streetlights along the corridor as well. So that's what involves accepting the roadway as part of the city.
Thank you, Bill. I think we discussed this several times over the years, this particular road right here. Did Hendersonville end up paying for the pavement of that? No, who was it? County?
No, the developer paid for it, but we had agreed to split the cost.
I remember
At
that
some
now.
point. We said that we would annex this road. Remember, there was a portion a portion of property, they wanted to keep one development altogether. And so we couldn't annex the road until it was moved out of the urban growth boundary. But, to me, that way we'll have the road. It'll be our responsibility. There won't be confusion. It won't fall into disrepair, and everybody will be screaming.
So if we want to annex it, then we need to make a motion to send it up to council. Do we have a
I move-
motion?
Well, this is just a report. This is just
Okay.
the findings of the report. Y'all have already had it at council committee. So it'll be on the council agenda from the previous council committee
Okay.
meeting.
Gotcha, Bill. Okay, I guess we're finished with number 8. Number 9 on the agenda, this is the last item. This is additional information and renderings for Double Star Hotel, Mr. McCord.
Okay, this next item is one that y'all wanted to come back and talk about, wanted me to get some additional information on. So, again, the Double Star Hotel site is on a lot that's adjacent to where Lowe's is, the Lowe's preliminary master development plan site. And it's outlined there on the map. It's adjacent to Browns Lane, but doesn't have a direct access drive to Browns Lane. This is a photograph that what it looks like, the property now looking southwestwardly towards Browns Lane. Of course, you now have that excavated bluff there, and I'll get into a little bit more details about that. This is what Browns Lane looks like looking towards the northeast. And so you can see a little bit, and I wish I could point with this pointer, but it doesn't work on that screen. You can see a little bit of the Lowe's building through the trees there, barely, a little kind of a scarlet colored building. But otherwise, you're high above that property. So, as you can see from the other photograph. That's essentially about the same location roughly, but that's in the wintertime. This is the hotel. Now, this screen, this shot is a little elongated, but nonetheless, it's 300 feet long hotel. It'll be 4 stories in height, but down, again, the bottom floor will be down in that lower area at roughly the same elevation as the floor of the Lowe's. And this is kind of what it would look like in the back if you didn't have the escarpment there. So if it were level all the way to Browns Lane, for example, at the floor of the hotel, this is kind of generally what you'd see, but that's really not a good projection. And so what I did is kind of overlapped a couple of photographs. This is the exact same photograph that you saw earlier from Browns Lane. That was a summertime picture, overlaid with what the hotel would look like if you were traveling down Browns Lane towards Nashville Pike. So this is about the height that you would see that. And what you'll see there is about, as I mentioned, a 4-story hotel. About halfway up the second floor window is about the level of Browns Lane. And then you'd have about 35 feet from that point up to the top of the hotel. And that was a little worse cut and paste job for the wintertime. I didn't know any other way to do it.
Appreciate your effort.
It was I've tried to show you in the wintertime, because it's going to be different. But they have a landscaping plan that will include keeping these trees and having some additional trees. Now, a couple other questions that you also asked were about, and you'll have a handout there. I gave you a handout on this. You wanted to see a photo of rendering what it would look like from Browns Lane, so there you go. And how high above Browns Lane will the building extend? Well, it'll be the maximum height of the building, and let me get back to, let's see, that one. See the taller piece, it sticks up just a little higher than the rest of the building, than the middle above the door is 53 feet high. The rest of the building will be 50 feet high. So because it sits down in that hole, it obviously won't be 53 feet in height from Browns Lane. What you'll have from Browns Lane is a 35-foot. And again, you see the 4 stories. The level that you'll see from Browns Lane, it undulates a little bit, but it's basically halfway up through the second floor windows.
So, Bill, right there above the top windows right there, that's the parapet?
Yeah,
Okay, so around back, it rendered the same thing with the top of the window and then the parapet up there?
yeah, that's the backside.
Okay,
So
I
it's the
got you.
same kind of thing.
You know,
That's my attempt to show what it looked like from the road, just the portion that you'll see as you travel down.
my concern is what are they gonna do with the rock wall, the bluff right through there?
Well, that would be something that the engineering and building department will make sure that that's stabilized. And apparently that in the past, there has been some issues, but obviously that's something that they'll take care of with construction management.
They indicated what kind of trees they're gonna put on the bank.
It's in the site plan, they're going to put trees, essentially use these existing trees and supplement those with other trees.
Existing trees doesn't block the building.
No, it's not going to block the building. The building's gonna be 35 feet high, visibility from Browns Lane.
No, I'm talking even if you were in a jacked-up pickup truck. You can see through it now. When the trees there that are presently there lose their leaves, you're gonna see the building.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna see the building either way.
Yeah.
What kind?
But they're gonna have some supplemental plantings in those areas where it's, I would say, thinner trees right now. And then they'll have trees along the lot between the lows in the front. I don't think one of the renderings shows that's the back, that's the front. But they will have some trees there and then on the sides as well.
Is there a representative here for this development?
My issue is with the traffic.
Excuse me, Eileen,
I said, my issue is with the traffic going into that parking lot.
into the parking lot?
Yeah, I mean, Lowe's is really busy.
Hey, Andy.
Yes, sir.
I'll, you know, of course, I live
Andy
in that
Leith,
area.
Greenland
So does
Design Representative. Sir.
Craig and I and Steve and Susan live in that area. I haven't had many people much concern with this right here being down in the hole. The main thing people's asking about is the wall, what it's gonna look like between the building and the bluff right there.
Yeah, I talked to the geotech engineer this week because I knew you guys had that concern. A portion of this, what I'm gonna call the south or eastern portion, it's back down Browns Lane. We pulled the building about 30, 40 feet away from that wall. So the geotech's recommendation is try to fill that back in with some soil and plant something on it. Now, the northern part, the curb's real close to the cut face, so we're gonna have to build a retaining wall there to hold the rock back. I know that's sort of a, hold the rock back, but you all have seen it as it weathers, it falls off. So we'll have to build something there to hold it back.
One thing that was brought to my attention too, and Councilman Fan brought it up about the trees on top of the bluff. It seems like a lot of the times when we get into the construction phase of some of these properties, we lose some existing trees that are there. And good case in point is when you go down Greenlee Drive where the knoll is, we had beautiful trees up and down through there. Once they started putting that development, the knoll there, we lost some of those trees and nobody ever has tried to put those trees back. I just want to make sure that if we lose any of these things, we're going to plant back to try to buffer that.
So the existing trees that are there, our scope of disturbance won't be up on Browns Lane.
I didn't think so, but I still asked the question.
But if it makes the council feel better with the landscape plan, with the final master, we'll fill it in with evergreens if that's what you guys want.
Okay.
I don't know I can't remember what side of the road the power lines are on.
Well, my way of looking at it also, I think it's going to look better with that there than with a dirt hole of what we got now.
And as the PMDP and Mr. McCord can correct me, it was always slated for some type of commercial. So the traffic, as Ms. Mylene brought up, should be taken into account with the Lowe's plan because they had something planned for that since the beginning. It wasn't a hotel, but it was planned for commercial.
Well, one thing I think Ms. George was alluding to also is since we got Dutch Brothers there, and I mean, there's a lot of congestion right there right now, but I know that there's another exit that will be going up that ramp to go onto Browns Lane right there too that might relieve some of that pressure.
Believe me, my teenage daughter spends a lot of my money at Dutch Brothers lately. So it is getting quite a bit. And, but, you know, we can definitely at the FMDP with Nick's direction, take a look at the traffic and see if there's any requirements that are going to be warranted.
Hey, excuse me.
Andy, will the parking for that be shared with the parking for Lowe's, or is there a separate?
We have, all of our parking is contained within the site that my client owns, that we need. And sort of the parking is what limits the size of the hotel. It's also what makes it long. The shape of the lot makes it longer and Why? But no, we need, all of our required parking will be on our site.
It's not that long, though. Is it-
No, but it's longer than it is wide because the shape of the lot, with the constraints that we have, that it is. And it's to scale.
You see the parking for that hotel coming from Browns Lane or Nashville Pike?
Well, there is a red light at Browns Lane, so at the path of least resistance. So there may be, if people can't get in at Lowe's. Now, if I'm going, I find it easier to get in at the Lowe's parking lot. That's me. But if it's backed up, then I'm going up to the red light.
I think I've lived there maybe 10 or 12 years. I've never, and Craig, you can back me up or anybody else can, but I don't think I've ever seen cars stacked up on Browns Lane yet.
I don't think that this would cause stacking on Browns Lane, no. I think people would use Browns Lane to enter the hotel because there's a red light there to get off Nashville Pike. But I don't see the cars from this hotel stacking no more so than they do for Lowe's. I mean, the Lowe's and Dutch Brothers, they're gonna generate much more traffic than this hotel.
Okay. Got any other questions, guys? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Andy. Bill, I think you're through, aren't you?
I had a couple other questions to answer for you. So I explained how high the hotel will be above Browns Lane as well as from the finished floor when we get that information. The HVAC equipment is not shown on the PMDP. That's normally shown on the FMDP. That's not something that's required by our code at this stage. I think they had previously indicated would be on the roof, but there might be an opportunity to put it down below on the ground level. So that's just not something that we have available to us. I don't know if Andy wants to address that or not. And the other question was a fence. So we do show a fence, or there is a fence shown on the site plan that essentially envelops the site, including at the top of the bluff. And our fence code regulates the size and materials of that fence. So they are intended to essentially wrap the hotel with the exception of the side adjacent to Lowe's with the fence.
Okey-doke. Okay.
Other questions?
No, sir. Thank you. All right, that wraps up our agenda right there, so we're going to go under other business. Is there anybody in the audience or anybody want to bring anything forward under other business? Seeing none, other business is closed. Department head reports. Okay, come on.
Good evening, council. I'm Lance Wagner, the Stormwater Utility Manager. A couple things I want to brief you on the Town Creek Seep issue and some of the current activity going on there.
On the what now?
Town Creek Seep. This is the environmental issue going on kind of in the historic district where an underground storage tank has leaked petroleum products into the groundwater. As it comes out in Town Creek, it comes out in what we call seeps. So our colloquial name is the Town Creek Seep issue. So we do have, let's see, let me get, if you want more history, I can get into some history if you'd like. But the main thing I want to kind of brief you on tonight is TDEC is back out on site now and probably for the next 4 to 6 weeks. They'll be on Morton Drive, and on Morton Drive, they'll be drilling into the road and injecting an activated carbon solution into the groundwater. Now, what that means for you guys is there's going to be some disruptions on Morton Drive. Maybe have some constituents contact you to ask what's going on. And you can direct them to me or let them know it's part of the remediation efforts for this underground storage tank.
They have been contacted.
So
TDEC has contacted.
we've got on this issue 3 or 4 years ago, didn't we? We were trying to
This
find.
is the continued remediation. They're making progress. This is just a step in the process.
So we've already found out the location of the tank or the spillage or the contamination?
Maybe. And I say that because I'm.
It's not we, so.
Yeah, it's not the city of Gallatin. TDEC is running the investigation, Tennessee Department of Environment Conservation, under the underground storage tank department. And so it's up to them and TDEC's counsel to discover that. I will say that there's 2 gas stations in the area that have been identified over the time frame. And right now they are working with one of them at the intersection of Hartsville Pike and Steam Plant Road on trying to get some resolution to issues that TDEC has found on their site. So no one knows exactly where it's coming from, but TDEC kind of thinks it's in that, between those two stations or somewhere in that vicinity. TDEC has opened up funding to get this remediation through and get this remediation started. So no one entity is paying for it. On the private side, it is TDEC doing it internally. And so the city's not paying for this remediation. TDEC is paying for it, and we'll work that out with whomever it gets appointed to in the future. But it did start back in 2018 is when we first noticed this issue, and then when the city first took water samples and confirmed it was petroleum products in groundwater. And it was back in 2018 where we turned it over to TDEC, and so TDEC's been working on it since then. In Morton Avenue, we'll have this drilling going on for the next 4 to 6 weeks. If there's any questions about that from your constituents or from yourselves, I'll answer what I can tonight, or you can direct them to my office and we can answer it there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lance.
Thank you.
And just for your information, the city of Gallatin is not responsible for the inspection or the remediation of any underground fuel storage tanks. That's all TDEC's purview.
Or I remember that we was getting stuff coming through the creek and out of the ground. Has a lot of that slowed, or are we still getting that from time to time?
Again, TDEC runs the investigation. From what they're telling me, it's slowed down. So they're not seeing the same concentrations that they were back in 2019, 2020. So it seems to be thinning out. It's not official. It's just what I've heard from.
There may be more than one culprit.
There may be more than one culprit. There may be historic oils and petroleum products in the groundwater. Once it gets in the groundwater, it's very difficult to get out, and it's very difficult to treat, and it's very difficult to understand where it's at as the groundwater fluctuates.
Don't think we can end an oil well there, do you?
You don't want that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's an oil well situation, but and yeah, it is something we've been working on and working with TDEC and trying to help them out and keep them going and keep it moving forward for our citizens.
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
I think Nick Tuttle, did you have something to say? Oh, he's with you.
He's with me.
Okay. All right. Do we have anybody else, any other department head? We got one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion by Councilwoman George and Councilwoman Love, whichever in that order. All fair say aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Tree, leaf.
You're not.